Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco, Dish Out on the Movies. Today we are reviewing the first episode, which is like 2 parts in one.
We were reviewing the first 2 episodes of Fargo Season 5. See, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to have to take charge in this review.
He's imitating John Hamm.
John Hamm told me to. And so, anyways...
Tell him what the name of the episode is.
We got episode 1, The Tragedy of the Commons. And then episode 2, Trials and Tribulations. Now, first off, last season was atrocious agenda trash. And it's really funny because as soon as you watch, like, even the first episode of this new season... It's like, if you put this season up next to last shitty season, it really, really stands out how bad last season was. Like, all those people who defended last season and, you know, they were so, like, just retarded about everything and they just couldn't criticize anything. They all look like idiots now because, like, wow, this season is so much better and the quality is back. That was lost in Season 4, which I don't know what they were thinking was Season 4, but like this is just so much different. It not only a different story, a better story, but also...
They don't even know what the story is exactly, totally.
It doesn't have any agendas. It doesn't have any writing... It hardly has any writing issues. The characters are great. The acting is really good. It's everything that Season 4 wasn't. So, like, all the people who really hated Season 4 like us, you know, well, they should hopefully be pleasantly surprised by this season.
Yeah, I really liked the show a lot. And it's really weird because... I don't even know if we should say this or not, but we've watched all these other shows. And you have these...
Which ones?
Kids,
Goosebumps, yeah.
Talking about, I'm a powerful, strong woman.
No, what happens is in Goosebumps... See, I gotta take charge again. And,
for heaven's sakes!
Ow!
I'm gonna start beating him.
Ow! In Goosebumps... These kids, these annoying agenda kids from Gen Z, they were going to do this thing. They were going to go on this mission. Only one of them was supposed to go. And this one girl volunteered. And then the other guy was like, look, she should not go. And then another girl is like, why not? She's a strong, independent woman. She can do what she wants. And it's like that... That's, really bad.
Like in this show, at least at the beginning, we have a strong, independent woman, but she never says it about herself.
Yeah, they never have to say that.
She does.
Yeah.
You don't have to say it. If you have to say it, what does that mean? It's better not to just say something, just do it. That's on anything you do and anything you say. Just do it. Don't just say it all the time. Do it.
And she's cool.
Yeah, she is cool. And she doesn't even... And she's just, like, very calm and just does what she's supposed to do. And instead of being really whiny and... nervous and scared.
You mean like crybaby. And see, that's another funny thing. We haven't really gotten into this show yet. But if you've seen American Horror Story Cult, we are currently watching that right now to review next week, or at the end of the month. And it's funny because the stuff that's happening in that season is almost exactly like the stuff that's happening in this season of Fargo. But the only difference is that in American Horror Story, you don't have a badass, strong female character. You have Crybaby.
Yeah.
And she is just doing, she is crybabying all day long.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool that, like, you know, we have that contrast, because it's nice to see this character where she's really cool, and
she has adversity from all sides.
It's kind of, it reminds me of, like, Nobody, or, like, movies like that, where you have this character and, you know, she just looks like this typical housewife, but then it turns out that she's actually, like, a really badass, like, person that you wouldn't want to mess with. And so she is basically, I don't know what she is, like, because we don't know her background yet, for the most part, but we know that she can take you down, and she's not somebody that you want to mess with. Except maybe Safi would like to, because Safi's a weirdo.
I don't know what Mark
right,
was
Safi?
talking about.
Wouldn't you like to fight her in a cage match?
No.
She'd bite your face off. Like, that's the
know.
type of person she is.
But you would never know that looking at her.
Like, they opened the whole show on her at this, like, what was, like, a PTA meeting?
No, that was
Or
a
town hall?
Something like a town hall meeting or something.
Yeah, and she's there, and, like, they're having, like, a battle royale.
And all these people are fighting. They're like fist fighting.
And she's tasering people, and she tasers a cop and everything.
Some guy comes up to her and grabs her, and she tased him. And then she turned around, and the cop touched her, and of course she was just reacting, and she tased him. Of course, she got arrested.
And she said,
assaulting a police officer.
She said, "That's my purse. I don't know you." And then she tased him. Remember that, Safi? Yeah. What's that from?
I don't know.
King of the Hill?
Oh, God.
What? You said you remembered that.
Marco, you know, it just...
You gotta keep up.
Marco has a really good memory.
Yeah,
he has like an extra special memory.
You gotta keep up, and I'm not special at all. That's insulting, Safi.
No, why do you say that? You have a really good memory.
Because you're saying that I ride the special bus to school.
What? What are you talking about? So
anyways,
we both liked. I think Marco liked it. It seems like he does, but we liked it because they really have good characters. The two top characters in it, I would say, would be her name is Dot, and John Hamm.
Well, we'll get to him, because we're on the first episode right now, and I would really say, like, there's two things that I would want to say before we just go through the story really fast and not do the Safi route of explaining everything in detail. Number one, you know, it really feels like this whole show is built around her as an actress, because, like, I never heard of her before, and I don't know if I've ever seen her in anything else, this main character, but it really seems like the person who made this show, he likes her as an actress, and he's like, let's build a whole show around her so that we can show how talented she is, and, like, give her, like, basically her own show. And so, like, that's one of the great things about this season, is that you have somebody at the center of the show who's talented. And, you know, last season, it was quite the opposite. You know, we had Chris Rock, and he can't act. And then you had the Mustache Man, and he couldn't act either. And so, like, that was terrible. But this is something where you have somebody who's talented. And, really, the only character that I don't like, I guess, in terms of acting, is kind of the husband. Because he's just, like, really weak and shrimpy right now. And he's a little bitch. And so I hope that he gets to be a better character throughout the season. But other than that, you got some great actors here. Especially her. Safi, what do you have to say about her acting? Did you like her acting?
Well, she's very, what would you call it, unassuming and subtle. But, you know, for example, she fell down the stairs. And you think, wow, I mean, it was a really bad tumble. I don't know if she really did it or she had a stunt person do it, but it looked terrible. And
she just gets up like Michael Myers.
Yeah. And, well, she does something else, too, on the way of getting up. And, which I don't know if you want me to say, but anyway.
But we haven't gone through it yet. We're just going through these points.
But anyway,
and then
she's very unassuming. I mean, there she is.
I'm trying to see if I've seen anything else of hers. But I would also say,
familiar to me.
Oh, she was in The Offer! She played that secretary who they did have to say she's a strong, independent woman. Remember that?
No, I don't.
The secretary in The Offer who, at the end of the season, she wanted to become an agent, and she's like, I'll do what I want. I'm a strong woman.
Her?
That's her.
She looks so much different. In that show, didn't she have shorter hair?
She is really good.
And she, she was so different in that show.
She was a lot different because that character was not very good. And, and we just said, they had to pretend like she was a strong woman, which she really wasn't. And this character, though, is a lot better. I'm trying to see if I've seen anything else. But anyways, I would also say, I saw another movie of hers, and I don't remember her in that one, though. Oh, she was in Black Mass. Okay. The Dark Knight Rises. I'm trying to see if there's anything else. No, there's not. Not for me anyways. But another thing that I was thinking about was, in the first episode, there were a lot of, callbacks to the original movie.
Yeah.
And I kind of felt like it was a little bit desperate because last season was so bad. And it's like they knew that it was so bad that they just had to get people back somehow. And so they kind of, put all these callbacks to the original movie to get people interested again. Which it worked because it was really good, so...
but it's different from the movie.
Yeah, well, it's like it's a remix.
That's right. It has shades of it. You can see it, of certain things in the movie, but it isn't the same.
Well, they go through the motions, the housewife is at home, Dorothy, Dot, and these two guys come to the glass door, like in the original movie. And in the original movie, they break the glass with the hammer, and it's a very disturbing sequence. Well, in this, they're about to break the glass, and then they just open the door instead, because it's unlocked for some reason.
Odd. I didn't understand that.
And then they go inside, and they think that they're going to get her.
Yeah, because she's just a little tiny. She's like 5'2" or something. I don't know. She seems real tiny, skinny, and they're big. One of them's really big.
Yeah.
And a hulking guy, probably over 6 feet tall. And they're both wearing these heavy coats, and they just look very like they could just touch her and she would fall over because they're so big. But then she does all this surprising stuff, which was great, because to me it was kind of like she was a female MacGyver, if you all know what I'm talking about, where she gets simple household products and turns them into weapons.
Yeah.
It was great. I loved it.
And they do get her anyways in the end, and I will say, though, that this sequence and then the other action sequence, I did have a bit of a problem with them because there were times in the sequences where, for some reason, they started putting them in slow motion briefly, and I didn't really like that. I just felt like, they should have been normal speed the whole time. They really didn't need to be slowed down. So I would say that. Did you notice that?
No, I didn't.
But of course.
One thing she did was, I'm not really sure how I think she got hairspray and got a lighter or a match, and she turned it in, she made it like what would you call it, a torch. A
flamethrower.
A flamethrower, that's a better word.
She set Roderick Heffley on fire, and he was one of the thugs.
And she burned his face real bad. So
they kidnap her. And it's sort of like following the original movie a little bit. And then they have the thing in the original movie where a cop pulls them over. And in the original movie, the cop gets killed. Well, in this one, it leads into a shootout kind of at this convenience store, where you have you have the police officer, and he's black, and he's a great character too. And I thought,
Why did he pull him over? That's what I didn't get.
I can't remember.
Okay.
But he pulled them over, and it's just like the original movie. But then they go into this convenience store, and she starts like rigging up the place like it's Home Alone, and she's got this big master plan. And like, I would also like to point out too that like, for some reason they were trying to get us to watch The Old Man when we were watching this episode.
I kept flipping over there. It was driving me crazy.
And it's like, this is what The Old Man should have been, because this is exactly what I wanted The Old Man to do in that show. Like, she does all this stuff. She helps the officer.
And he's bleeding out. He would have bled to death if she hadn't done what she'd done.
Yeah, he got shot in the leg.
Near an artery or something, because he said that. I think they got me in an artery or whatever.
Yeah.
And she fixed him up so he wouldn't bleed to death. And she took care of those guys all on her own.
Yeah, because Roderick was in the bathroom, and he got in there through a window, because there's no back door to this convenience store. And then the other guy, he's just waiting to go in there and attack, and
he's the one with the big, I don't know, AR-15 or some kind of big gun like that. And the other guy, doesn't he just like have a knife?
Yeah.
And
she takes them both out. Well, she thinks, and now here's another issue I have with the episode. It had two cliches at once. Number one, she thinks that the bad guy is dead, and she does not check. And, that is a cliche.
The one in the front of the store with the big gun.
That is a cliche that is so tired. Like, I literally was, like, yawning when that happened, because I was like, seriously? Like, we're still doing that cliche in 2023 where the characters don't check that the bad guy is dead and then he's not really dead. Like, they made fun of that in the first Scream movie in the 90s. Like, they're still doing that in shows. That's funny. And then after that, she just disappears, too. Like, that was kind of weird because she was on foot.
With no coat.
She gets all the way back home.
Socks.
Yeah.
Just bare feet. In the cold. In North Dakota?
They're in Minnesota, Safi.
Oh,
it's Fargo.
I don't know, they were talking about the Dakotas.
Isn't it Fargo? Isn't it Minnesota? Because that's the whole show?
Yeah, they do. I remember now. She said the police officer, I think, said something about Minnesota.
Okay.
Somebody said something, because when they did this meeting at the very beginning where all these people were fist fighting, it was really weird. The whole room was some fist fights.
Yeah, it was very strange.
Crowded room. All these people fist fighting each other. They said, somebody said something about Minnesota strong, or I don't know what it was.
Oh, and you heard that?
There was some kind of saying about Minnesota, which I've never heard before. I've just heard the 10,000 lakes or something.
So you've heard that, but you didn't think that this was Minnesota?
Oh, somebody said something about the Dakotas. I don't know, but anyway, whatever.
Safi.
It's kind of a general area. So anyway, Fargo isn't in Minnesota.
She just gets away. She just disappears like Batman. And it doesn't really make any sense, like, how she got home.
With no coat and no shoes. In a little convenience store. It's not anywhere near town.
So that part was a little questionable, but I still liked it. It still isn't very much of a problem. And from this point on, she's going to pretend like it never happened, even though the police were investigating.
Because her husband found her missing. I think she was supposed to pick up her daughter. And she doesn't show up.
Yeah.
And so that was highly unusual. And so they go home, and there's blood on the floor, and there's a burned cap upstairs, like a stocking cap. There's other DNA or something upstairs, and none of it's hers, because they have hers on file for something. And none of it. There's two others, and it's of those men, but she doesn't say anything. And so you've got the mystery is, why isn't she saying anything? Because she comes home, he hears this noise in the kitchen. Now remember, they're going to go out full-blown search the next day and look for her. But the husband's there, and he's all upset, and the kids sleep, and he hears this noise, and she's in there. There's bare feet prints on the floor. There's blood on the floor and on her.
She's making breakfast.
She's making pancake
batter.
It
was funny.
With Bisquick.
It was funny because at the convenience store, after the whole shootout happened, she saw this little flyer on the floor that said that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. And so even after this whole big thing happened, like, that was the thing that was in her mind, was like, uh-oh, it's almost time to get home and make breakfast. And so she, like, runs home like the Flash, and she makes breakfast, and that's kind of the end of the episode.
What's funny is she has been through a very traumatic experience, and she's beating this. You're not... When you make pancake batter, you're supposed to leave lumps in the batter. You're not supposed to overbeat. And she was beating it. Her husband hears it, like, what the hell? You're here? What happened?
And I was also trying to say that there's a couple other characters we should mention in the first episode that are introduced. You have, I think it's like the female sheriff of this town, and
I guess I don't.
She's one of the lesser characters so far, and then you also have the husband's family. He's got a rich family, the Lion family, which is very reminiscent of the real life Lion family. With that girl who poisoned herself, and then they thought that it was her husband who did it. And you have Jennifer Jason Leigh as the mom, the mother-in-law, and she's one of the most evil characters on the show so far, because she's just so into herself, and her husband is kind of another simp. So
that's the lawyer.
The husband?
You're talking about the eye patch?
Safi, that's her husband, right?
I thought that was the lawyer.
Safi, that's her husband, right?
I don't know.
Are you sure?
Not totally.
Are you
I
just
thought it was
so?
the lawyer.
Are you?
Because the way he talked about you sending your.
Oh, now I gotta look that up because Safi doesn't understand what goes on. Typical.
Yeah, right.
Now I have to tell John Hamm, and he's gonna be upset. Let's see. Well, you keep talking so I can look this
I'm
up.
Just looking too. So.
Never mind. He's not.
He's not what?
He's not the husband.
Told ya.
But he looked like he could be because
Yeah,
I mean they're the same. They're around the same age and.
Isn't that funny?
Well.
Typical.
That's just one instance.
Okay, so where are we?
I give the episode an A-. The first episode. It was very good.
It was very entertaining.
It really made up for season 4, the bad season that I think people still might pretend is good. It's not. And yeah, this was a good episode.
Well, I'll never forget the Irish American character. He was my favorite.
Well, they wasted him just like they wasted everything else in that piece of shit season.
My favorite character.
And so then we get to episode 2, and we are immediately introduced to John Hamm and his character, and he is a sheriff of another town, I guess. And
he's from the puritanical dynasty of the Mayflower or something. I don't know where the Salem Salem witch trials era or whatever. I don't know. He's like from another century with his attitudes about men and women.
Well, that's another thing is, like, I think that the person who made the show, maybe he saw the fan reaction to that Timothy guy from last season, the U.S. Marshal, who was like a Western Batman, and he was so cool, and he should not have been killed at all. He should have gotten his own show. And I think that maybe he saw that, and he's like, well, let's create a character like him who's evil, and who's like really, really just like, really, this character is so bad, it is uncomfortable to watch him in any single scene that he's in. Because
I've never seen him play such a... Now, I didn't see the show Mad Men, but I don't think he was like... From what I hear, I don't think he was like this.
I haven't seen it.
But he is like... I don't even know how to describe it. He's just like so puritanical about men and women and the relationship to each other. I mean, talk about the antithesis of a strong, independent woman.
He's somebody who you're really excited to see get killed later on in the season, hopefully, because like, ugh.
I mean, I've never seen him like that, and it's just really. He's very, he always seems to be very gregarious and friendly, and. But this one, he's the man, and nobody can say otherwise, in every sense of the word. And they get these two FBI agents, and I didn't get that, why they were coming to visit him, because to me, that really wasn't explained. But they were almost like a cliche, and the way it's stereotyped and cliched, I didn't like that at all.
Well, maybe they'll have better character later on. But anyways, we start off, and he's in a cafe, and I was confused about who was this girl, because I thought that they said that she was his daughter, this girl who's been abused by her husband. And John Hamm is like, husbands, they have to take control, and they have to beat on their wives, but the trick is that they can't take pleasure in it, and they have to do it just like enough to where it's necessary
to keep you in your place.
Yeah, but he's like, you're doing it and liking it, so you're a bad guy. And so then he like has the guy get roughed up and strangled, and he throws his coffee in his face. Yeah.
Right in front of everybody, but no, not a second thought.
So he's really evil. I mean, he's a corrupt sheriff. He's really bad. He is not like Timothy Oliphant, where, that guy was like awesome and a hero character. This is the opposite of that. And then what he says is he tells the wife to go home and forgive him and do sexual favors for him, and everything will be fine. And so then they leave. And
that introduces his character and what he's all about.
Ew.
At least partly.
Ew.
That's just the beginning of what he's all about. So anyway, then we begin to find out...
He's probably more evil than anyone in season 4. Right?
I guess.
Season
probably,
4, like...
Yeah.
How many... Because in season 4, nobody really wanted to kill that child, right? Like, the young boy who's the young Mike character. Like, nobody really wanted to kill him. I think I remember. I guess the nurse was the most evil person, but I think that this John Hamm character is more evil than any of the characters in that whole season. So
yeah,
that's how evil this character is.
Well, so then we begin to find out, because guess what? The bad guy that got away from the store, the one carrying the gun, he shows up there. And they hired him. John Hamm hired him. You know why? Because Dot was his wife. And he, I guess, heard about her and found her and what did he want? He wanted them to bring her to him, or wasn't really sure what he wanted them to do.
I thought he wanted them to kill her.
Well, that's what I'm thinking too.
Because in the first episode, they said something about like bringing him a corpse, but they didn't say if like she would have to have all of her teeth, and so he wanted to like knock all her teeth out. So he's mad because she left him. Yeah. But why did she leave him? See, I couldn't ever begin to wonder why. And so you never hear, she never mentions him. But she did when she was way back in the first episode, when she was in that store and she was helping that highway patrolman guy. He said, how did you learn how to do all this stuff? Because she had done all this, MacGyver stuff and helping him with his leg and the artery and all that. And she said, I've been through 6 lifetimes of whatever, and that's where I got all my experience. So she said something to the fact she's been through a lot. No, she said that in the second episode to the mother-in-law. She said, I've been through 6 ways of hell or something. Oh, okay. But she did say something to the highway patrolman, too. And you're like, what's she talking about? Yeah, well, we don't know yet, but to me it reminded me a little bit of Breakfast at Tiffany's. It reminded me of that Julia Roberts guy where she has to get away from the abusive husband. And she pretends like she drowned in the ocean, but she... Safi's spoiling it. Well, that's what it reminds me of. Nobody likes Julia Roberts, Safi. I'm not going to be quiet. This is years ago. Not even Julia Roberts likes Julia Roberts. Oh, God. Okay. And then also he is being investigated by the FBI because he is corrupt. And that whole scene was kind of funny because he's naked in the hot tub. And you get to see a lot of his nudity, and I think he does it on purpose too to humiliate those FBI agents. He stands up and he like slowly puts a towel on himself, and it's just like I just can't stand this character at all. He's just so bad. I hate him. I want him to die right now, but then again I don't, because then there wouldn't be a show. And nothing more would happen. So, and then what happens next, Safi? I mean, the sheriff, she doesn't think that Dot is telling the truth, and so she's doing all this other investigating, and she goes and sees the highway patrolman in the hospital. Yeah. But then this other guy shows up there at the hospital, and that is, I'm not sure. I thought now he was the son. John Hamm's son. Is he? I don't know. I don't know. Not very clear, but he's close to him. And I believe he is like a famous actor. I haven't seen him before, but he has I think he's a famous actor. Well, let's see. Yes, he is his son. And he is also another evil character. This guy, he's very unlikable. Okay, he's the Stranger Things guy, which I wouldn't know because never watched it. I haven't gotten into that show yet. So he is also really evil, and he comes there and he manipulates it so that the patrolman cannot identify her picture, because he deletes it off of the sheriff's phone. And then also, we did not mention that the big henchman, he is still alive, and he escaped from getting killed by John Hamm and his men. He wants his payment because he was supposed to get paid for getting her, but he also wants additional payment for his pain and suffering that she inflicted upon him. And they're like, "What are you talking about? She weighs like 100 pounds. What could she have done?" And the guy said, "You didn't tell him she was like some kind of wild tiger." Yeah. And they're just like so disbelieving, because this guy's a big guy. And so of course they show that they take him out. There's people standing around with big guns, and then you have this
got bad deputy, or no, his son. And he has a gun and handcuffs and everything else. And you think he's going to get shot, but he escapes and kills. I think he kills those two men out there that had guns. He gets away.
I'm kind of interested to see what'll happen with him, because there are a lot of references this season so far to the Big Lebowski. You know, this henchman character, he is a nihilist, and he says he is a nihilist, and then John Hamm says something like, "But you believe in money, though, right?" And then also, just 1 second, I don't know why Safi left the door open. Also, Safi, get out. Just go take a time out. Go suck on your baby bottle and all that. They also kind of go through the thing of, like, with the rich family, they think that she might have been involved with the kidnappers, just like...
She had herself kidnapped.
Yeah, just like in the Big Lebowski, when they thought that his wife was doing that as well. So there are a lot of references to that, and I like that. And as well, Safi, are you going to contribute?
I just like the fact that she... And so her mother-in-law...
Yeah, talk about that.
Says, I mean, she's really mean to her, and she says... And the woman, you know, is real sweet, and she says, "Well, you know what? You just don't really know me and what I'm capable of. So I suggest you, you know, stop right now." And so that makes the mother-in-law mad.
Yeah, they threaten each other.
Yeah, they...
And it's really kind of unpleasant, because the mother-in-law, she's very controlling and manipulative.
She thinks she's after her money.
And she's
she
rich.
Doesn't give a crap about it.
Yeah.
Not a crap.
I wouldn't either, because, well, I don't know. But anyways, and then she is starting to rig up the house, too.
But what's funny about this, funny, she says, you know, it's just her and her daughter. The mother-in-law leaves. So it's just her and her daughter. She goes, "You want to do a craft project?"
Yeah.
And you're wondering, like, what's that? You know, what kind of craft project in the middle of all of this mayhem that the other family members don't really know? They just
booby traps.
Booby traps. They start booby trapping the house. And the daughter's having fun. They're breaking up glass bottles and glass light bulbs into shards.
Yeah.
And they rig up these things where you can get electric shocks if you fool with the locks and the windows.
They do the Nightmare on Elm Street thing where there's a sledgehammer that's above a door. So if you go in there, you get hit in the head with a sledgehammer. So, I mean, she's really going all in. And the thing that's a little queer is that, you know, she is being very obvious that, like, she was definitely kidnapped.
Or something terrible happened.
And her husband is just kind of a shrimpy simp, and he doesn't really question anything very much. He's just like, "But didn't something, actually, something could have been," but he's just very weak, and he's not willing to, like, I don't know, it's like so obvious that something's going on. It's very obvious.
But she won't tell them, any of them. Mother-in-law, her husband, the police person, you know, the officer who's a female, and I don't know what her position is. She's supposed to be like, was it Marge back in the original Fargo movie? She's supposed to be that character? I don't know.
Hopefully not.
She doesn't tell anybody.
She's not as good
what happened in her previous
She's
life.
not as good as that character.
No.
So far, she's very average.
Yeah.
But then again, as I said, this whole show is built around Dorothy.
/Dot.
Lion. And so you have all these people are really going against her.
And, well, she hasn't done anything wrong.
Yeah.
The only thing she did wrong was she did accidentally tase the officer. She got arrested. They fingerprinted her. They took her mug shot. And that's assaulting an officer.
Boo-hoo.
Which I don't know.
Boo-hoo.
But it was an accident. She didn't mean to do that. She just reacted because the guy was trying to take her down or something. And it's like I told you, there's fist fights in this room everywhere. I mean, everywhere you look, there were people fighting. And then this guy touched her arm, and she turned around. She reacted. She had the taser, and she tased him. It was a cop, and she was, oops, sorry.
So I would give this episode a B, because, look, it is a setup episode.
Yes, between the one that a lot happened, and then the next one, who knows what's going to happen. But, John Hamm is going after her.
There was a lot of talking. And the thing is that...
And the mother-in-law is going after her.
As I've said before, setup episodes can only be so good because setup episodes are setup episodes. And that's like their whole purpose, is to set up events. So, like, just because this episode isn't an A, that doesn't mean it's not a good episode. It's a B because, like, look, it was a lot of talking. A lot of character exposition. And stuff like that.
Now the mother-in-law they were going to investigate her and her husband.
The thing that I'm most curious about is the other henchman who survived. I'm really curious to see what'll happen with him because he doesn't really have any personal motive against the housewife. But is he going to still try and go after her anyways? Or is he going to keep going on this revenge tour against John Hamm? Because he did also intercept them when they're at the gas station, and he killed one of them.
John Hamm's son, after they were seeing the guy in the hospital, they stopped at that place, that convenience store / gas station, and he went in and got a drink and some jerky, and
it was spicy.
His partner was killed.
Yeah.
That guy, the bad guy, the big guy, who's mad he didn't get paid, they were going to kill him. He killed his friend, the other deputy guy, because they're wearing uniforms. They're wearing sheriff's deputy uniforms. And so the son sees it. That's the end of that. I mean, he's looking around. The guy's gone. He just got that guy. So we want to know, is he going to go after John Hamm and his son? Is he like Marco said, the revenge tour, or is he gonna go after the housewife too, because she got the best of him?
Yeah.
And maybe he may not like that. I don't know, and he wants to get revenge.
So what do you give the episode, Safi? You never graded it.
I give it a B+.
Okay, so you liked it better than me, even though... Because, like, I just can't see, like, it... Because it was a good episode, but I just can't see, like, giving it a B+.
Well, I did that because she's got everything going against her, which is really weird.
I'll give it a B+.
And she tells her mother-in-law to go F off.
Yeah.
Basically. It's very subtly, and I like that. And... I don't know if Jennifer Jason Leigh was the right person to play that part.
Why?
I'm not. I just.
What was she supposed to play?
I wasn't even sure that was her, because I'm so used to seeing her as a young person, and she's.
God, Safi,
like, she's very laid back and freewheeling and just doing whatever she wants. Now she's a rich woman, and she's got the rich wig on, and she wears beautiful clothes. Yeah, they had. What they do in the first episode, one of the first things, which is really strange, they go to her house for dinner. It's all decorated for Christmas.
They do a photo op.
They do a family photo op. Well, this is something that has actually been done by the Boebert family in Colorado.
It's done by a lot of people, Safi. It's something that rich people like to do so that they can play psyops on the American public.
But they each had, it was her, the son, the daughter-in-law, and the little kid, gave them each an assault rifle, and that was part of the family photograph.
Yeah.
But they were weird because they were like colored, like blue and different colors. They weren't black, which was weird. So she's just a weirdo. She's like it's almost like all the I mean, this was so different than the way she was in Twin Peaks when they did that movie.
She was evil in that one, too.
Yeah, she was, but it was different. It was just different.
It's a different kind of evil.
She's she's just like a...
Safi, they killed a man in front of his son. They sniped him in front of his own son in Twin Peaks. Yeah. She was a lot more evil in Twin Peaks than she is in this show, even though she's still evil.
It's just weird to see her like this because I'm so used to seeing her as looking a different way.
I bet you are.
So anyway, but I just love the way this girl, I mean, she's like a little skinny, 5'2", 95 pounds, whatever.
Soft.
She's real skinny, and she's very loving mother, and she's very calm. And she just went through all this stuff, and here they are. They're all doubting her and being mean. Her husband, because he's so weak, at least he's still supportive and good to her, because she doesn't deserve otherwise. So, because obviously the other guy, according to Marco, which I didn't hear, wants to kill her.
Well, I'm not sure. I guess he wants to kill her. I mean, I don't know, because she's not going to go...
Or bring her to him so he can kill her. She's
not going to go back to him and be with him. Safi, you're going to get that cough taken care of, or else you're not going to be on the channel anymore. We're not going to have any more videos where you're going to pretend like you're some patient that's sick with a flu or something. You're going to go and get the cough taken care of.
Take a medicine that causes you to cough.
Well, you're going to take a different one, because I take the same medicine and I don't cough at all.
Yeah, you do.
No, I don't.
Not as much. Okay, well, so anyway, I gave it a B+. I gave the first one an A, and I liked it. I loved all the MacGyver stuff in the store, and I just hope it stays good, because we saw some, they do show some scenes from next week, and there were a lot of, I thought it was for the episode next week, but Marco says it's probably the whole season.
Yes.
And some over-the-top stuff coming up. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. So that's it. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and become one of our subscribers so we can hear your feedback about what you thought about it and what else you're doing, what you're watching over the holidays. So goodbye, everybody.
Bye.